And welcome to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Hydro on AM 790 KBC and the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore alongside the All-American Sean Cody, the quarterback Max Brown, and soon to be joined by the head coach Clay Helton. But it's just good to have our offense-defense balance back this week, guys. We haven't had that yet this season.
You got your defense out of you on Saturday?
I was tuning into you guys last week, and I was like, I need to get back to the show. This is leaning too far to the offense. I'm freaking out here, so I'm glad I'm back so I can bring some defensive perspective here for you guys.
Well, the defense stole the show on Saturday. That is for sure. We will talk to Clay Helton about that momentarily, and then the Pick Six hero Greg Johnson will join the show. Plus, Lindsey Gottlieb, the new head coach of USC women's basketball, will join us a little bit later, too. But let's get to the head coach, brought to you by Monster Hydro. You've got to train hard to play hard. Monster Hydro contains essential electrolytes and energy you need to perform at your best. Learn more at monsterenergy.com. Monster Hydro, hard-charging hydration. Coach, welcome to the show. Congratulations on an opening W. And, we talked on Saturday, but I really think defense was the story in this one. And you know what stood out to me, Coach? Yeah, there were the two turnovers, and obviously both big plays in the game. One is a touchdown. The other one leads to a touchdown. But, you didn't get sacks. You just were consistent. I was impressed by the consistency of the defense, play in and play out. How were you able to be so consistent over the course of 60 minutes?
Yeah, I thought T.O. really put a great game plan together that the kids believed in, and it started with, you saw on early downs, really committing to stopping the run, that we wanted to make that offense one-dimensional and kind of put it on the quarterback, try to get in some 3rd and 7+ situations where we kind of lived all day.
Yep.
Only limited a good running attack to 64 yards. We had a lot of respect for Nevins and that offensive line, and so you saw a lot of overloaded fronts on normal down and distances, which put a lot of pressure on the outside with the DBs. They held up extremely well, and that allowed us to have those 3rd and longs, and you look up and they're 3 of 14, 21%, and that gets you off the field. And then you throw 2 turnovers, yep. One being a non-offensive touchdown, which was my favorite thing in life, and just a really great performance, opening game performance by our defense.
Coach, defense only gives up 7 points, obviously, and I know Coach Todd Orlando is going to find some things that went wrong. What were some of the things? Obviously, that one drive where they scored a touchdown, but what are some of the things that the defense had to clean up going after this one?
Well, we showed it today on tape. You talked about the consistency, and especially against the run, and really we felt like we could have limited it even more. We had a couple missed assignments, gap responsibility-wise early, and we missed a couple tackles on the fit against a good running back that kind of squirted out that ended up creating 3 nice runs for him. So that the run fits, just keeping that consistent, and then when we're playing that tight to the line of scrimmage with that many bodies, if one person misses that tackle, then it's going to go a little ways. And so we've got to continually be consistent and try to be 100% there.
I'll ask the offensive version of that question. Drake obviously had a big day. You run the rock well, but when you watch the film, what are those areas you need to grow in week 2?
I think for us, Max, to be honest with you, it's going to be that continued balance of the run game. You know how it is. A quarterback's best friend is having a run game to get you into those one-high situations. And when I go back and look at it, it allowed us to be able to have some very third and manageables in the game. And we're 7 of 14, 50%, which if you end up being 50 or higher, you're going to be in the top 10 in the country in that area. So I really hope to see the consistency week in and week out of that run game. I thought it was a good start for our offensive line, great start for Vavai and Keontae, that 1-2 punch that we used that was very balanced between the two, and it took a lot of pressure off. And credit to Graham. There were 3 situations on those 3rd downs that we were sitting there in 3rd and 5+, and all of a sudden catch 2 high coverage, and he says, you know what, we're going to run the ball. We're going to trust our run game. game, and we convert all three. Then finally, we got only 3 situations all day that caught 1 high on third down, 2 cover 1s and a cover 3, and you hit Taj for the touchdown, you hit Drake on a long pass down the sideline, and then you hit EK on the 4 verts. So we really took advantage of what was there on third down, and that's the nature of the offense, is take what the defense gives you.
You're listening to the head coach, Clay Helton, after a Week 1 victory over San Jose State inside the Coliseum. It was great to be back inside the Coliseum. I'm sure the guys were feeding off of it. Drake was Drake. As you talk about the passing game, he was phenomenal. Again, Taj Washington, who we saw so much of in camp, he gets his first touchdown. After that, it's Week 1. It's a long season. We're going to see all different kinds of guys rotate in and play. Do you in your mind have a sense of who the third and fourth guys are going to be when it gets there? We saw Michael Trigg come in a little bit in the second half. I don't even remember if he was actually targeted, but he's a talented guy. And you have other talented receivers. Do you have a sense of where that's going? Or are you sort of waiting for those guys to show up in a practice or late in a game and say, hey, coach, I need to be another weapon in this offense?
Well, I think we'll end up spreading the ball around. We do got a ton of skilled players that are very, very talented. And we went into this game plan using a lot of 12 personnel, and EK and Jude played a lot. I think it was 50 snaps apiece that they played in the game, and we got valuable reps from Malcolm Epps, who made a nice play in the game for us. EK makes a touchdown catch. I always get complaints about we're not using the tight ends enough, and that we use the heck out of them. And now it's, hey, what about the other guys? So that's usually how it goes. But we're very fortunate to have other guys that we feel are going to really step up for us. We feel like you're going to get Gary Bryant back this week. Really like John Jackson and Kyle Ford and Michael Jackson and Manjack has done a lot. Those guys are going to continue to progress as we go through the season. And to be honest with you, I think that we're going to spread out the reps a little bit more. When you look back at the rep count, you had both Taj as well as Drake playing almost 70 snaps, which in a close game you kind of lean on it, but after 4 or 5 games you're going to have some beat up bodies. So I would expect Graham and KC to use the wideout, the skill positions, and divvy those reps up a little bit more, as well as you always, each game plan is different. That last game we really concentrated on having our 2 tight package in, and it really vanillaed them out, and it helped us in the run game. And at the end of the day, I think that's what won the game, was winning the rushing game over San Jose State.
Coach, you get to obviously check out the film and see what happened and break it down. After the game, you ask, what happened in the red zone. What were the things that kind of broke down in the red zone to limit, to only scoring 23 points when you guys kind of were able to move the ball around the field and just not put it in the end zone?
Yeah, we took advantage of the 1 turnover early and scored a touchdown, and then we kind of played on a long field from there. And we get it inside the 10 twice. The third field goal was really a 3rd and long back from the 20. It was like the 26-yard line. And I was probably one of the best plays, my favorite play of the day, when Keaton didn't force the ball, pulled the ball down, got 10 yards, set us up in field goal range to make it a 2-score game. That's a veteran quarterback making a veteran play, always reserving our right to kick. When we got inside the 10 the first time, we really focused on the passing game on that first drive, and really had an opportunity on 3rd down versus Max drop, where Keaton just held on the ball a little bit, had the back open on the swing, where we felt we could have had an opportunity there. And then the second time we have 2 run plays that gets us half the yardage, and then on 3rd down we get an unfortunate deal. We actually had a freeze count, thought we had him offsides. I still think he was offsides. Yeah. The ball is snapped, and we launched the ball to Drake on a one-on-one opportunity and don't hit it. So it's something that our guys understand, that those 8 points rather than 6, that's 8 more points that could be on the board, and 38-7 sounds a lot better than 30-7.
Coach, in years past, after the Week 1 game, we've been analyzing a new coordinator. Graham, obviously, a couple years back, T.O. last year. How much more comfortable is it for you walking into a season having already gone to battle with your 3 coordinators, and how different is that week 1 fluidity as a result?
Yeah, that's a great question, Max. The biggest thing that I see the difference in, even from last year, is I think about part of the defense that you saw in this last game has T.O.'s edginess, his toughness, his discipline, and his belief in the game. And we didn't get that last year. We left the building March 15th. We didn't get a spring underneath them. Didn't get really a fall training camp. It was just how fast could we get a scheme in? And you lose the personality sometimes, when you don't have those 2 training camps of the coordinator. And now being able to go through an entire winter program, spring training, a fall camp, that's what I feel. I feel guys that really believe in what he's doing and's got his personality all over it. And man, they played with a fierceness and ferociousness on Saturday. That was really neat to see.
Trojans are 1-0. It was a hot day game on Saturday. If you want to cool things off a little bit, we've got a primetime matchup coming up this Saturday. Get in the Coliseum for USC Stanford, the Pac-12 opener and a classic rivalry. It'll kick off at 7:30. Our show will start at 5:30 from the floor of the Coliseum. So big game coming up this week. USCTrojans.com/tickets to fill out the Coliseum. We come back, we'll hear more from the head coach, Clay Helton. You're listening to Trojans Live. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, the head coach, Clay Helton, kind enough to stay for a second segment with us as we break this one down a little bit more, but we turn our attention towards Stanford as well. Health-wise, Coach, how did you come out of it? You kept me busy. There were a bunch of banged-up guys on defense. Obviously, we started the day with the big news where Paul Lamau was in health and safety protocols, but in terms of him and then Steele and Figueroa and Jackson, there were some guys limping around out there.
Yeah, we got some bumps and bruises. It was a physical game, and both sides of the ball had over 70 plays in the game, so it was a high play count game. Coming out of it, I think we're in pretty good shape. Probably the toughest one was Nick Figueroa with an AC sprain. Those are always sensitive. He got a PRP injection yesterday, was feeling a lot better today. We'll rest him for the next couple days, see if we can get that soreness out and be able to see where he is either Wednesday or Thursday. Drake was running around today, fine. Chris was running around today, fine. And cool. And then Isaiah, we're hopefully, depending on where we're at with those health and safety protocols, hopefully we'll have later in the week if everything continues to trend in the right direction.
Coach, one of the big keys for me going into the game was going to be that matchup between Cade Hall and our young offensive tackles. How did they fare in that one? I mean, I go back and watch it, and it seemed like they held their ground in there.
Yeah, I thought the pass protection over the entire day was pretty good. Obviously, the run game was extremely efficient. But we have 2 sacks on the day. One was a physical beat off the right tackle, and then the other one was a coverage sack that was that red zone inside the 10 that ball should have spit out to the field progression and gone out to the back. But overall, I was pleased, especially interiorly. I thought that combination of Brett Nealon and Liam Jimmons and Andrew Voorhees and Justin Dietich played a lot in there too. Did a really nice job, and then Cortland Ford and Jonah, for their first time out, I thought had very solid performances, especially Cortland. Yeah. Played really well, dislocated his finger in the second quarter, popped it right back in and went back out there.
Oh, that's just part of the drill. That's a part of the drill.
Yeah,
there,
just kept on going. So
Not for quarterbacks.
Mangled hands.
Yeah. One of their questions was, or at least questions within the media side of things, was interior defensive line wise. And when you go into Stanford, you need depth at that position. How did you think that group fared in week 1?
I was so impressed with Thule and Jake Lichtenstein. That combination at the 3 technique position was something that we wanted to really focus on and see where we were. And I thought did a wonderful job. And then Stanley and Jamar at nose tackle. We did not have Kobe with us in that game because of health and safety protocols. And those 2 really held point at the nose tackle. So those 4 gentlemen, I thought, did just a wonderful job. Everybody is all excited about the edge players, but you go back and look at that inside zone run game that was really managed extremely well. It was managed extremely well because of those two interior spots.
Yeah, we never get the credit we deserve, Jordan.
Fair enough. Well, we go into Stanford week, and it always comes quick. It begins the Pac-12 schedule, and it's as we said earlier, it's a great rivalry. Been some classic games during your a little over a decade at USC. What do you see from the Cardinals? Seems like they're still trying to figure things out. The quarterback position, but talented other places. Nice like a running back.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to watch them defensively, but probably most. I thought they did a pretty good job against Kansas State. Offensively, it looks like David's, trying to decide between veteran to young guy, and both played. Both, were high completion ratio. We'll see where it goes. They're both similar guys as far as pocket passers, so you don't have to have two specific game plans necessarily. They have mixed in a lot of personnel groupings offensively, which is, I've always thought Stanford, you always think the 21, 22 personnel, but and David still does that, but he's really mixed in a group of skilled athletes with a lot of 11 personnel and spread the field a little bit, which really gave them some movement of the football last week. So, I know David, I know that group. They got a lot of pride, so they're going to walk in here mad after losing that first ball game, and it's always a physical game. It's always one of those black and blue contests when us two get together. So it's kind of always decided by what just happened last week. If you win the rushing battle, win the penalties, win the turnovers, win the third downs, that's usually the folks that come out on top, and we just need to consistently do that week in and week out like we did last week.
Coach, I'm sure you're going to have to break down Stanford all week, but I wanted to take one more to the game. I thought Kalen Bullock had a fantastic game as a young man to be thrown into that situation. Hey, you got to suit him up and let's go. Talk about his performance, and then talk about what happens when Isaiah comes back. What kind of role might he have, and how do you figure him in that defense?
Yeah, we had actually trained Kalen in a couple positions. He's actually the backup nickel behind Greg, as well as being able to go back to safety when needed. So he can fill in at either or. He's been trained at both. I was just really proud for him. We always talk about, you never know when your opportunity is going to come. So be ready when it does. And, thinking of Kalen, the importance for him of coming in early, being a midterm graduate. I mean, he walked in here at about $160.
Yeah.
and has put on 23
they call
pounds.
Him sticks, right?
Yeah. And put on 23 pounds from the time he got here to playing on Saturday. And then, I just thought did an unbelievable job of getting the ball on the ground, especially in some third down situations and man coverage where he's right to the hip and stops people short. But, for a true freshman to walk out there in that type of atmosphere and look like a vet, credit to him and credit to Coach Niver and his preparation of him.
Another young player you guys are excited about, Corey Foreman, got in there a little bit. Third down package, feels like that's his main role right now. How does that package change going into Stanford, and where are things at in terms of Corey Foreman's progression?
Yeah, he's really learning the system. The one thing that we know about Corey is he loves to get upfield and rush, so that's what he did on Saturday. We cut him loose there. And I tell you what, and I hope y'all felt this, and I showed it to our team today, and it was evident on film. I really thought Nick, their quarterback, did a wonderful job of hitting his back foot and releasing the ball. Didn't held on to it at all. Yep. But the one thing that was there was just we were consistently on top of him from all positions. Corey was one of those guys. Nick was one of those guys. Tooley, Drake, Hunter. It was throw bang consistently over and over, and it produced some inaccurate throws on third down.
Yeah, 22 incompletions, most in 4 years by USC defense. So that was really the stat that popped out to me because the sacks weren't there, but the errant throws were there, and the pressure certainly caused that. All right, thank you to Coach. He'll be back next week to talk about that Stanford game, but we've been talking about Greg Johnson, so we'll just welcome him to the show next. You're listening to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Hydro.